this computer. Okay, so that's good. We're kind of all starting from about the same point. But Brick and I did work on this a little bit early in March or February or something like that. And yeah, we can start from there. I don't know if you want to introduce to people your general circumstance, Brick, but we can start moving from there.
Yeah, well, I found the paper that I wanted to see, and then I thought we could go from. I mean, this was, the format, the thing that you show the students, and then let's practice these. This is the practice, and then you could show it on a screen, and then the students can then work together in pairs and do this. So I found what it was that I wanted. And then what I thought we could do is we kind of take steps back and then see how we could create a prompt that would produce this. So can I share my screen?
I believe you can. Yes, you can.
Yeah. Okay. So this is we were kind of working on. So this is kind of a basic setup for VC practice with students, right?
Mm-hmm.
So the sentence, the key, the target sentence, I will be your nurse this morning. And then you had it, but I had removed it because I didn't think it was a good use of time. But anyway, so I'd set up, I will you, yes I will he, yes he will she, this kind of, I think you might have had a different order as well. I don't remember.
Slightly, yeah. You've got they ahead of we.
Okay, so you wanted, okay. I mean, that's easy enough to change.
Yeah. I just, in terms of the general order, first person plural, then third person plural.
Right. So, all right. So I will you? Yes, I will he? Yes, he will she? Then we next?
No. No, put that back. You just do a Command Z on that last action.
Yeah.
Okay, yes, she will. So instead of yes, she will, if you're going to skip it, I would say go from third person female, and then third person female to third person object, and go directly to first person plural. Will we?
So
yes, she will we?
Yes, she will. Yes, she will. Will
we? Yeah, because what you did was take out it, and that's normally its position.
Yeah, right. Yes, she will. Will we? Okay. Yes, we will.
Will you? Oh, you. You're also using you in the third person, second person plural?
Yes, we.
I find that Brick confusing for them, especially if they still haven't latched onto the idea completely of second person singular and second person plural.
So remove it.
Well, number one, grammatically, the second person plural is exactly the same as the second person singular. If anything, the third person, the third person object, actually has more of a variation than second person singular versus plural. If you're going to knock something out, it would be second person plural. That I find really repetitive and confusing for the kids. They go, what's that doing there? Why is it there twice? And then you have to explain, and then they go, oh, okay. And it's a whole 5 minutes of explanation just kind of wasted, because eventually they'll figure it out.
So I will you? Yes, I will he? Yes, he will she? Yes, she will we?
We.
Yes, we will.
Will they?
Will they?
Yeah, will they? And then
will they?
And yes, they will I?
Yes, they will.
Will
Will
I? And there. Now,
Yes, I
there you
will.
go.
Will
It goes to yes, I
he?
will.
Yes,
Will
he
he?
will. Will she? Yes, she. Yes, she will. Will they? Oh, here we go. Yeah, will they? Yes, they will. Will
Yeah, there's that switch in order.
we? Yes, we will. Will you? Yes, I will. Is that right?
No, you've got it's the
Where am I
original problem
missing?
was that not problem, but my preference is that it goes in second person plural, then third person plural.
So I just
Down at
want
the
to keep it
bottom.
the same. We're repeating it.
Uh,
We.
Actually,
so-
you sorry to interrupt. You have that in 2 cycles. You go from I will
Yes.
and it repeats again.
Yes.
I, to be honest with you, instead of like this is you're going to print this and give it to them, right?
You're showing on a screen. Yeah.
Okay, if this is going to literally be on a screen, I'm going to
Mhm.
take a page from Alex Burke's presentations and say that will be too small on a screen. So
it would be bigger. Don't worry about the size of the font.
okay,
That's
so
not what
it
I'm
would be
talking about.
bigger. And then
Yeah.
what you're going to end up with is if you're going to do 2
There, it's
cycles,
bigger.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
imagine you only showed 1 cycle,
Right.
So it ends at from I will to the first occurrence of will I, just above that brick. So the first occurrence of will I.
Right. So remove this.
Yeah,
Have
and then
that.
yeah, and then that would be enough. Now that can be enlarged even bigger, right?
Sure. Okay.
It doesn't even have to show them the second cycle because they go, it's the same cycle.
Yes, I will. Will I? Well, then you'd need. Okay.
You got a question mark on that first I will.
Yeah. Yeah. Why is that? Okay. Okay. So this is the setup.
Mm-hmm. I will. Will you? I've shown you how I set this up on a screen, right?
Yeah, but it has kind of, it's more graphed, right?
Graphed? How do you mean?
I mean, you
graphed?
have kind of
Like little signs, yeah.
yeah,
same-
little
Yeah.
little
Uh-huh.
right. And so what I'm trying to do is move away from that because ChatGPT can't deal with that.
Oh,
So I'm
you're
trying to
make
see
a prompt. Ah.
right. I'm trying to make a prompt.
Oh, okay. If that's the case, then yeah, then I can understand. Elizabeth, you seem to be having a problem with your monitor or something, or your camera.
Yeah.
Yeah.
1 minute. Oh, it's freaking out. 1 moment.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It looks
You
like
can
you're
go without
behind.
your camera for a bit if you want.
Okay.
Okay. Just a couple things on the Chat GPT.
Mhm.
So you want to make the Chat GPT prompt so that then you can drop just about any sentence into it and it will
Right.
create this, and then you can
Yes.
just plop it into a worksheet and go, right?
Yep.
Okay, can I just show you how I would deal with that?
Okay.
Because if I'm not mistaken, what you're trying to do is trying to make it so that it's easy for the kids to see what they're up to next, right?
And make it easier for the teacher to go, okay, well, hey, I want to do the sentence. Oh, well, instead of having to sit there and spend an hour graphing it, I can just go, oh, okay, well, though, you want to learn this sentence? Oh, boom, into ChatGPT, boom, okay, let's do this now. You know, hey, oh, you guys are having trouble with this sentence. Oh, here, this will take 5 minutes. You know?
Okay, so
That's what I'm thinking.
sure, yeah. Let me just go to, let's see here. I think 7D would be good. 7D whiteboard printed. Excuse me, this is kind of out of order, so I had to go back and hunt this down. Okay. Early on, when I'm doing this at the very start of a class,
Mhm.
we begin from the very beginning, which is a really good place to begin, which is the beginning, and you show them just the pronouns. So in this case, there's an it there, and
Right.
taking out the it, I've had people ask me about that before, and because it and this and that and they, those sort of non-personal pronouns can create problems for them when they're trying to make sort of more abstract sentences. I find the more they practice with it, the more they become comfortable with it. especially it being something that's difficult enough and something that they actually did study. And for us to suddenly rip it out for them might create confusion. I keep it in there, but that can be your own personal thing. But in any case, what I do is go through these pronouns in practice and go very slowly to the point where I'm not putting any more information than it needs to be there. One of the things that I find is if these kids have a lot of paper in front of them, they're going to start relying on paper. If you give them a piece of paper to prompt them through, they're going to start looking at the paper. And at some point, you're going to have to tell them, okay, no paper, let's just do this on our own. And that's going to be a very important part because you want to teach them eye contact and higher voice volume and stuff. And one of the most important things is to get them away from having to sort of look at something before they can speak to people. So one of the goals that I have is to actually reduce the amount of information that is in front of them and get them to be able to do this in their own minds without a lot of reliance on initial pieces of paper to get them started. So even just something like I am hungry, okay, or I am not sleepy, there are what I guess, you know, the word that you're using is sort of graphing or diagramming a lot of this stuff. There's the negation, there's the verb negation for an irregular verb and stuff like that. And sometimes in the explanation, it can get really complicated because you're showing that, you know, if you're doing a regular verb, this is how you negate a regular verb. And in this case, I was adding, you know, I don't study at home. I don't study English at home. I don't study English at home. I study English at home every day, kind of thing, becomes the diagram. But eventually you want to get to the point where you just write one sentence, and they know what that means. They go, oh, that goes from I to they. I can write one sentence like that, and they know that that goes, I don't study English at home every day. Do you study English at home every day? You don't study English at home. And they know it because they've done all of this. So instead of in my opinion, making a lot of work for yourself by saying, okay, here's the paper. And then in my opinion, what I've seen before was it has a negative effect where they have a piece of paper. So they go, okay, I have to look at the piece of paper. I let them make mistakes and I encourage them to correct each other. Also with the demonstrations that I do, if they make a mistake in the pronoun order, if they make a mistake in the conjugation for the don't or the doesn't, that's something that we correct right there without reliance on paper, because that's what I tell them. You're going to have to do that in a real conversation. You're not going to have these prompts or these diagrams in the end. Now, at first, yes, you're thinking, oh, but it's just a crutch, and then we're going to go on from there. But if that's the case, then why not reduce your workload and try it the way that I do it, which is just to go from these simple conjugations to the point where you're just writing the one sentence. It also makes it easier for you to sort of, sometimes what I find is that in a classroom, I'll notice that the students, for whatever reason, that particular day, they're a little slow. And it could be a number of things. It could be there was a typhoon, or they just missed getting hit by a typhoon on the way to the classroom, but they ended up having to walk through a lot of rain. A lot of people have the flu or the sniffles. The baseball team, a majority of your students are members thereof, had a really big tournament this weekend and they're a little bit tired. So for whatever reason, they're a little bit tired and they're not really clicking into what you're doing. And it's not because they're not motivated or not good. It's just that particular day. The plan that I had the plan of attack that I had for the stuff that I'm doing that day has to be kind of shunted aside and kind of moved in a different direction to get back to that point by having, you know, sort of stuff that I can do impromptu. So I'm not tied down to a paper syllabus for that day is very convenient for me, because I can look at them and say, yeah, you guys suck today. Let's get back to doing this stuff. Or I go, oh, wait, we need more practice with that because it seems like you guys don't seem to understand that particular point. Let's go to that point. It's good to be prepared, but I think especially with what VC sort of aspires to, having paper to the point where you're like writing everything out, which is what I think you're thinking about, Brick, might be a bit of a hindrance.
Go ahead.
Chiyuki, was that you?
Yeah, well, I said that, well, but go ahead, Brick, sorry.
No. You go ahead.
Right. Brick, you said that you're gonna project on the projector, but
Yep.
there's still, it could be a little bit of reading, I think, too. And I've been using that, and so many Japanese students tend to read, and because it's really easier in the high school days, they and it turned out to be in my class, it turned out to be like reading competition or something, like how far they can read. And so that's why I started using much less sentence. So then I would just send them only target sentence. So we're going to talk about will because it's the future. So we're going to talk about tomorrow. So it's going to be put will, and then there is one, the basic sentence. The student will think about it and then start kind of making lots of mistakes, but they laugh usually. And then it makes kind of more interesting for them, because if it's only reading, it's easy enough, but some of the maybe weakest student will start reading. That was probably the Jose's point, is it?
Yeah. Well, that's not exactly my point, but I completely agree with what you just said. Allowing yourself an avenue of improvisation would be the way that I would sort of encapsulate what I like about not preparing a lot of material. And not preparing a lot of material reduces your workload. It reduces, as Chiyuki pointed out, starts to steer the students away from their tendency to want to keep their faces in paper, because their oversensitivity to being wrong is something that in the background I tried to correct and say, but I understood you, it's not a problem. That's more important when it comes to improvised conversation. At this point in VC, you're trying to get them to build some sort of counter sensitivity to being wrong by knowing when it is that they're wrong, and letting them learn to correct themselves or to correct each other. If they're always on paper, then they stop listening to each other. They start concentrating only on their own bit. But as part of what I'm trying to train them is that they're listening to each other to try to help each other and correct each other about, no, you said he, so it's he doesn't, he don't. No, you said he don't. Yes, you did. Sometimes they don't even know that they said he don't, right? With paper in front of them, I find that I don't think there's anything wrong, Brick, with having the diagram in your textbook. But when it comes to actually doing the VC stuff, tell them, okay, close your books. I would close your books and let's see what we can do with the stuff that we already practiced, the stuff that you did in that flipped classroom style quiz. Let's bring it out here on the floor and let's start using it verbally. But I don't know. What do you think, Brick?
Yeah, well, I think we've talked about this before. I mean, this is a class of 50 students, and they're very low level, and they're doing something that is maybe a bit more difficult. What they're producing, what they're practicing for, is that they then have to do on their own. They have to go online and they have to be able to say these sentences with the key phrase with some skill. So what I'm trying to do is to get them to practice the key expressions, because these key expressions are key in what they're going to need to do online. So this is more excuse me. This is pronunciation practice. And pronunciation practice and awareness and a little bit of grammar. And all of this is followed up by what they're going to be doing on their own online. And that's why I thought that this VC practice now, okay, now you're with the teacher, and here, let's, some of these words you're going to have a hard time pronouncing, and, maybe being able to flow it out so that the AI recognizes what you're saying, so that you can get credit for it. You might have a hard time at first. So let's practice the sentences together and, at least have with 50 students, I can't talk to everybody.
Right.
You're going to work with your partner. You're going to do that. Let's go through the sentences. And as a valid use of their time in the classroom. That's what that's kind of my goal. That's my target.
Okay, how about this? Let's take a mix of what you're proposing and what I'm used to doing, right? And prepare the paper that you want and tell them, here are the targets, here they are conjugated. Okay, let's slowly start to practice them through the way that I showed before. And at the end, maybe what you could do, AirPlay. Sorry, this always takes a second to set up.
Yeah.
Okay, so at the end, what you could do is take this that you put on the projector as part of the lesson. And then at the end of the class, just list them up. I don't study English at home every day. The book is very expensive. Will you help me find the library? So sentence 1, sentence 2, sentence 3. This is what we covered today, kids. Okay, this is what you'll probably, or you will encounter similar questions like this during your test. So let's practice this some more next week, or please remember this for the upcoming quiz or for the upcoming test. So you're basically reiterating your targets as you've done them, and those are the targets that they're going to remember. And then that will be reinforced by the paper that you had at the front, be reinforced by the actual verbal classrooms work that you did. But every classroom is different. And your class, your students better than I. I can tell you that in my experience, putting paper in front of these kids will make them look at the paper. And they won't have that paper during the test anyway, right? And maybe initially, like say, okay, now let's take a look at sentence number 5. Okay, now close your books. Now let's diagram it out. Maybe it was something like, you have a broken leg and a broken arm. So you have, I have, you have, he has, she has, I have, do you have, you have, the she has, he has a new book. Does she have a new book? She has a new book. Does it have a new book? Whatever. And then just keep stretching that out to the point where you say, he has a broken arm. Does she have a broken arm? She has a broken arm. Does it have a broken arm? And then show and but. So he has a broken arm, but he has a broken leg. And stretching out these sentences, and then get to the actual target sentence. You have a broken arm and a broken leg, kind of thing.
So what you're saying is that there's really no need to have ChatGPT diagram, because really you're only giving them the one sentence, the target sentence in that sense, and then going from there.
I think I would, okay, to answer your question, no, I don't think there is a need. For a lot of different reasons. You're making a lot of work for yourself. 2, your target eventually, I don't know if you agree with this, Brick, but is to get them to not look at that paper.
Yeah.
And if that's the case, then sorry, if that's the case, then yeah, just put it on the projector or keep it in the paper, but tell them that's the basic pronoun verb conjugation diagram. You all know it, just like I showed before, right? It's just, with me, it's just a pronoun I, arrow straight down to they, and they know what that means because they've been doing it for the past 3 weeks, and you're getting them to remember, oh, what's the one for third person plural, and if they're always relying on a piece of paper and then you pull that crutch out from them too late, I think that might be a disadvantage. If you pull it out from them as soon as possible and make them learn that this is something that they have to know, they have to be able to do this by instinct, I think that's the better thing for them, especially for a test where they have to, what are they? They're given a Japanese prompt and asked to translate it or something?
For what? For the test?
For that test that you were talking about.
No. Actually, they're dealing with a chatbot, and the chatbot prompts them to say that sentence.
So they're prompted entirely in English then.
Yes.
Okay, so they're gonna have to, even more so then, they would need to be able to, in an improvised manner, make up these sentences, knowing what the actual elements were, right? That in
Or
this
say the sentence. I mean, what I'm saying is that a lot of them, I mean, for example, I mean, the sentence, so let's say that the key sentence was, I will be your nurse.
Mhm.
And then the chatbot might prompt them, how do you tell a patient you will be their nurse, for example, something like that,
Okay.
something basic like that.
Yeah, yeah.
And then, and so, these students are so low, I will do be your nasu,
Okay.
is what they are, how they would say it. But no, they need to say, I will be your nurse, so that the chatbot algorithm recognizes what they're saying and can give them credit for responding properly.
On a bit of a tangent. I'm sorry, you're not finished. Go on.
Yeah, I mean, so I'm hoping that in this practice in class together, they will, I will be your nurse. Will you be my nurse? They'll get used to this pattern, to saying it, clearly, recognizably, not using katakana English.
Okay.
In somewhat in the practice, and then they'll recognize this, and then be able, when they're, and it's not really a test, it's more just that to complete the week's task, they'll be able to do that.
I don't know, we could have a discussion a bit about this, but in my opinion,
Yeah.
if you want to make sure a student continues to pronounce in katakana English, ask them to read a sentence. If they read the sentence, they're going to go back to what they used to do in junior high school and high school. But if you tell them, okay, here it is, listen to the way I say it, and give them minimal visual prompts, when they say, I will be your nurse, I'm sorry, when you say, I will be your nurse, and you say it slowly, I will be your nurse, and then tell them to do that slowly, and then ask them to increase speed, to make speed the target, not accuracy, not accuracy to this paper, but say it faster, say it faster, say it even faster, say it even faster. And then maybe start showing them not the collocations, the liaisons between certain letters, certain words. Show them how to put that together. And then have I ever shown you, or have you ever seen my exercise on one idea, one breath, Brick? I think we've talked about that before, eh?
I've seen your number of your presentations.
Okay. One idea, one breath, where you're trying to get them to control their breathing all the way throughout the sentence. I think will be, in the end, in my opinion, it'll be better than paper, because if you, in my experience, the way to make them pronounce in katakana is to make them look at English, because they associate that will, W-I-L-L, with wiru or nasu. They see N-U-R-S-E, and they were taught the pronunciation of that word is nasu. They don't hear nurse. They've never seen nurse. They don't know what, some of them literally don't know what those letters phonically stand for. They know it as nasu. I see some chat stuff here, and I didn't quite see what it was saying. Let me see what it says. Can I make some suggestions? Of course you can, Elizabeth. Just pop on your camera or not, and tell us what they are.
Yes.
Hi. Sorry. Two things I was thinking about while Rick's describing this process and the syllabus. I don't know if this will help you, but when I was in high school and reading Greek plays, one of the techniques we used, and remember this is in English with English speakers, we did the choruses of the Greek plays with 3 or 4 or 5 students together, and the teacher would say the line, and we would chorally say and match his what do you call it?
Pronunciation?
Yeah, and match his intonation, and we drill it a couple times, and then only us group as a group would chorally say that chorus piece. and it was spooky with all of us producing the same intonation at the same time.
Mhm.
Elizabeth, can I ask? Sorry, just to interrupt.
Yeah.
Tell us about the background. When you say we, what is this? A university class?
Sure.
A high s-
I'll back it up. Senior high school.
You were
Uh,
teaching, or this was
Oh.
you as a student?
Okay, I'll back it up again. I was an IB student for English literature in high school, and our teacher suggested that we also memorize the chorus part of Greek plays that were in English.
Mhm.
Camera freaking out.
It's okay. Also, too, I don't know if you know, your microphone is kind of like fuzzy. I don't know if you're using a Bluetooth microphone or something.
No, I'm on my crummy
Notebook computer. Okay, now keep going. Sorry.
okay, sorry. So he would say line by line, we would imitate his intonation, and then as a group, then we would match each other. Sometimes 3 to 5 class members together would look at one another as we're chorally repeating with the same intonation. It slowed us down. It made us super aware of the intonation.
Hmm.
It sounded spooky. That's why we enjoyed it.
Just as a quick comment, I'm just trying to imagine how that would work in a Japanese classroom. It sounds like an interesting idea. However, these are Canadian high school students, right?
True.
Canadian high school students, and I don't mean to insult the educational culture of Japan, but the general culture of Japan is not to strive individually beyond the others to be as good as you can and to let everyone else see that you're better than they are. The educational culture of Japan is what is the lowest common denominator, and let's all hit that. So even the better students will probably tend to repress their good pronunciation if they've got a student that they know is closer to like bad katakana pronunciation. They'll repress it and probably sit down back there, which might end up potentially, I'm saying potentially, I don't know, I've never done that in a Japanese classroom, but might potentially end up perhaps even reinforcing bad pronunciation. I don't know. Have you ever tried that actually?
Okay. So what I'm considering is having the students use a poem, not a challenging one, so nothing with any challenging vocabulary or nuance, but a cool one, something cool, and have them attempt this in our English club. The students are about they're like they're like B1 students, but they're spiky. They tend to have really good reading and really poor speaking. So I'll give it a shot and see if it appeals, especially like seasonal poetry or something like that. Nothing long. And yeah, and don't ask them to memorize necessarily, but to attempt the intonation, maintain the intonation. I'll get back to you.
Yeah. Chi, was that you? Were you?
Yeah, I was because I went through the Japanese education, and what you said was probably nowadays much less, but yeah, there's still tendency that people try to not to speak English in a more understandable, intelligible way. But I was thinking like when break, you were thinking about the pronunciation as well. Or the best practice for the pronunciation for me is shadowing.
Yeah.
And instead of probably using that diagram, I think shadow talk, and then make sure to do the shadow talk every single lesson. And it's quite fun, especially in the morning. And some of my even lowest level of the students enjoy it because they don't really have to worry about other students' pronunciation, and then they could be exposed to the native English level or all different kinds of sounds, so that they can enjoy. They don't have to worry about making mistakes and stuff. So
they get all this online.
Okay.
Shadowing and it shadows and it records, and they can listen again and again, and then it's a native speaker, and they can get that on their own in their own private little, you know, headphones and looking at the screen world. So I'm just trying to think of ways to guide them in the class,
Right.
you know, just to give them some direction, and then just, you know, give them some encouragement and get them to have some fun with it in the classroom. And I thought the VC would be good for that.
Yeah.
I think the only way you can get answers to the questions that we're kind of throwing around right now is to actually do it, because Brick hasn't actually done this yet in the classroom. Even Elizabeth's suggestion, she hasn't actually tried out in the classroom. Well, one good thing,
but I did. I mean, I did, but I had it written. Remember, I showed you. I mean, I did this first semester. I tried it out, and I liked the result. But you know, I didn't have everything diagrammed out, you know, to go through it. And so that's what I was trying to do, was just get everything for myself so that I could see it. But now what you're saying, and it makes sense, and everything, is that I don't need to diagram it out. That once, you know, after the first class, after the first session, when they see the pattern, then really all I'm doing is just giving them the sentence, which they already have. Yeah. And even, I mean, and then each unit has 10 key expressions. We could even, you know, say, okay, which ones would you like to practice this week? Because we really don't have time to do all 10 necessarily.
10 is a lot.
Yeah, 10 is a lot. So maybe, you know, 5 or 3.
But it depends. If you, this is something else I've done before too. When I have like 3 or 4 sentences that I'd like to hit that day, I try to group them so that they're all in a similar position, so that then when I don't have a specific example to show you here, but let me start a share here. And I don't have a specific example to show you here, but let's say, for example, I had a base sentence like, I don't study at home every day. Maybe if I go a little further on, okay, then another one would be, I don't study English at home. I study engineering, which then varies out to something else, right? I am an engineering student. So to put these sentences into clumps so that then there isn't a lot of explanation or a lot of unnecessary explanation to the next sentence. The actual target here is for this class was, I am an engineering student, mostly because that's actually hard to pronounce. I am an engineering student. To us, it looks like, what's the difficulty? But if you don't make those liaisons, it becomes, I am an engineering student. And it's really hard to say fast because you're putting in all of these extra syllables because you're not making the liaisons between them. So we spend more time on that pronunciation, which is actually something that might be helpful for your students when it comes time for them to speak. If they don't know about these liaisons, they're gonna, you know, like those liaisons right there, it's really hard for a Japanese student if they've never been made aware that they have those liaisons. Elizabeth says, Miss Yanase, thanks for reminding me of shadowing. Yeah. Shadowing is, by the way, just to get back to that, is really big in my class. I do that almost every start of every class, whether they have stuff like that to do on English Central or not. I find it's a really good warm-up for the classroom. But yeah, I would clump the sentences together so that then I'd look at my plan and say, okay, that one is related to this one is related to that one, and I can go in this order. So I look at them and in terms of increasing length, increasing difficulty, increasing proximity to the actual target. So the physical target, I guess, in this case was learning about liaisons and showing them that we make these connections between certain vowel sounds or certain consonant sound to the oncoming vowel sound. That's what I can suggest. And then that way, it doesn't just seem like a lot of random sentences that they're being presented to remember again, to memorize again, which is actually just a variation on the high school theme. Let's memorize this English. It makes sense. There's a train of thought involved in this. right? But let's take a look for everybody else, like stuff that maybe is good for everybody and for Brick. Like looking at the document that you gave me, Brick, the next sentence there is let's see, I'm not feeling well, or can you please fill in this form for me? Any of those that
Right.
you'd like me to sort of show how to put together in the way that I would for,
Okay, hold on.
for a class?
Hold on a second.
By the way,
Let
Brick,
me-
can I send this to everybody else so that then they can see the document?
Yeah, sure. Hold on a second. Units.
EC for
see.
N. Okay, so I'll send this in chat.
Oh, okay.
And where's my chat? I think I just made it disappear instead. There it is. Yeah. Okay, so here we are, everyone. Believe that'll go through. Yep. There you go. And it's just a set of target
I don't-
phrases. that-
Oh, there it is. Okay.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, it takes a second to go up, even if it's only 19 kilobytes.
Right.
So which one would you like me to sort of try to take you
Well, fine.
through? So I can show everyone my thought process if I actually
Please.
wanted to
There we
teach
go.
a particular sentence.
Let's do, could you please fill in this form for me?
Okay. That's actually a pretty complex sentence in VC terms. So,
Or even how about, can you describe, I mean, some of the words I need to do, how about, can you describe some of your symptoms?
okay, so that's equally complex in VC terms.
Okay.
It's okay, but we can talk about a bunch of stuff.
Do you have any allergies? How about that?
Do you have any allergies would be a good place to start. Okay. Or something even like, but it's all part of the process in terms
I'm
of
just the reason why I was picking the ones I was picking was because allergies as pronunciation, you know, that they're it's a sentence with a word that's new to them that they have to learn how to pronounce.
right. Okay.
Yeah.
What was that one before? Can you describe some of your symptoms? So if we were going to see about using, can you describe some of your, sorry, I'm going to have to shorten symptoms. I would look at that and ask myself, first of all, are they already okay with the basic, sorry, I do and do you conjugation that I do? So first I ask,
Let's assume no.
let's assume not.
Yeah.
Let's assume not. Okay, then this will take 3/4 of the class. Getting them to the point where this is the very first time they've ever, would you assume that they're okay with the pronouns? I, you, he, she. In my case, I would write it.
I would hope so, but these are really low-level students.
See, you know, this is the good thing.
I mean, they know what these words are, but
yeah, sure, but they're
but
not.
they haven't really put them in practice. I would say, from what because I did do this last semester, that I also had a survey afterwards, and I would say 50-60% of the students, this was their first time to be speaking English in front of a native speaker. 70%,
Right. So
maybe more.
one of the things that sort of scared me at the first time that I started doing VC was I thought I'm going to have to devote an entire, or what seemed to me a very large chunk of class time, getting them to the point where they don't need a textbook in front of them to be able to do this. And at first it seems an inordinate amount of time, but if you do the kind of exercises that I would recommend, it's fun. It helps them feel that a lot of the things that they studied before now are actually coming out of their faces. Any individual student will go look at that and they say, well, wait, I already know all that stuff. Why are we going this far back? I mean, I know I'm not good at English, but I don't need to study this. I tell them, we're not studying it. We're practicing it. Get that straight through your head. Okay. Yes. Being able to spill it out without looking at the projector, without looking at the whiteboard is something very different from knowing it. So we start with this. And then we do a few fun exercises I can go over later to make sure that they know the the actual order. Then we start adding in verbs. And that's important because if you're looking at this sentence, you're actually looking at the irregular verb for can, for to be able to, right? So that's not something that you do from I do. You have to practice I can you can he can she. So you have to sort of chalk this up and say, have they learned how to do that? No? Okay, then we have to learn how to do that. Do they know what the word describe means? Okay, and actually explaining that in English only, without some kind of dictionary or some kind of vocabulary work that they did in the class previous, can be very difficult, right? Because it's a fairly intangible sort of meaning. There's a grammatical point in there. Some of those there's a grammatical term for this, an indeterminate quantity. Okay, some of, so they have to understand what that is. Some of them will know it, others will not. So you have to use VC to explain it. So something like, I have some paper. Do you have some paper? And then you have to explain why there's an of there. Okay. If you're going to go full VC with this, you have to make sure that they're fairly consistent with it. If there were 8 important points, I'm finding what can you, that's 1, describe, that's 2, some of, that's 3, your, okay, which is the personal pronoun, possessive pronoun. That's actually a really tricky thing, knowing what that means and then going over all of that. That's 4. And then symptoms is a fairly simple word. You can just say shoujo if you really wanted to do it in English. But this is actually, the difficult stuff is this, and this. And you have to ask yourself, are they comfortable with that? If there is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 things there, in counting symptoms would be point number 5, then I would ask myself, are they comfortable with at least 3 of those, so that when I throw out the 2 variables in front of them, they're not going to be confused because they have to deal with 5 at a time. They have to be able to deal with just hopefully 1 at a time, or at least through the entire class deal with 2 at a time. And the possessive pronoun is actually pretty tricky. So I would ask myself, okay, let's go with the first one. Can you? Okay, so then I can, and then that would be a pretty basic diagram right there. And then after they know this diagram and they've done a few class sessions of I do you, I am, are you, he was she, past tense, and then I was hungry this morning, then peeling those out really fast, then you can get to the point where you say, okay, kids, let's start today with can. Okay, let's go with this starting from I to they. Okay, don't forget the question. I can you do a demonstration or 2? And then they're set with that. Then that means that you've hit your first target. Okay, and that will take 10 minutes, I would say. Now, describe. Now, if you're lucky, they will know what that means already. I describe a picture. I describe a picture. Do you describe a picture? He describes a picture. Does she describe a picture? She describes a picture. Okay. I describe, then I say, okay, let's take that out. Let's switch that out with symptoms. Picture, symptoms. Oh, okay. I see how that kind of works. By using switching, you don't have to thoroughly explain the word describe. I describe, well, if you wanted to make a joke, I describe the perpetrator's face, but that leads you into needing to explain perpetrator and what a police sketch drawing looks like. But you find ways to explain the variables of the sentence, of this sentence, by using switches within the sentence itself, and at the same time they're practicing a lot more in terms of fluency. So there you have describe, which then means that you've got your second target. Then you continue on with some of, and sometimes it takes me a couple of minutes to sit down quietly and think of the sentences that I would use to describe some of. But let's say I would take a basic verb like I have. Okay, I have, and then do you have? And then you go, I have some of your, I have some of your paper. Now, what's tough about this is that you're introducing at the same time the possessive pronoun. Now, to do this in VC, okay, is actually pretty tough, because then you have to go, actually, no, I have some of, let's switch that out to, I have some of my paper. I have some of my paper will require the question, do you have some of your paper? And all you're teaching here is that you has the possessive pronoun your, I has the possessive pronoun my, so that then they're starting to get comfortable with his and her, it's without, you know, if you want to be specific about it, it's the one without the apostrophe, ours and theirs, or our and their is a real throw for them too, but can occur. And that's where, you know, you focus on that for a bit. So I would go, I have some of my paper. Do you have some of your paper? You have some of your paper. Does he have some of his paper? He has some of his paper. Does she have some of her paper? Making sure that they get that. And then a variation on that. I have some symptoms. Hopefully this is also alongside describe, something that they did as vocabulary quiz work prior to the class, so that then you may or may not have to explain it. You almost always have to, because we know that not 100% of the students will do the prior homework or the flipped classroom work before the class. But the nice thing about VC is that eventually they start teaching each other. And yeah, I know that's a little bit of cheating in Japanese, but it gets the job done. And it's better than them not asking the question, because they're terrified to actually ask the question in English. They start teaching each other, and they start building that sense of community within the exercises themselves to actually figure out what a lot of that stuff is. Some of them will not, no matter how hard you try to describe the meaning of describe in English or in Japanese, will actually get it from the teacher. They have to get it from their students. I've seen it before. You know, I will describe a word entirely in Japanese and they'll still go, nante, but the student in front of them will say it exactly what I just said, and they'll get that. So a lot of this stuff, they get not just from the paper, not just from you, but from each other, and giving them time to sort of slowly move up to the point where they absorb the entire meaning of this sentence can take some time. But if you lay the groundwork early in the classroom, then stuff like, you know, doing this diagram saves you so much time, because you've done that dozens of times already.
Right.
So that's what I would do. Those are the main points I would think. I would think, okay, how do I break it down in terms of the actual variables I'm going to attack? Which of those variables have they already studied previously? What do I have to do to show the new variables? Like, let's say your new variable in this case happens to be the possessive pronoun. Okay, well, if the possessive pronoun is the new thing, this week, then it would be, I like my bicycle. Nice and simple. Just about anybody who graduated junior high school will actually understand that with 5 seconds of thought. And then you tell them, now remember, kids, the question uses, do you like your bicycle? And then they go through a round of that. Then you throw in a variable to make it just a little stiffer, but still practicing the same basic thing. Okay. Do you like your new bicycle? Which actually makes more sense as a question as a statement. He likes his new bicycle. He loves it. I like my new bicycle. Do you like your new bicycle? You like your new bicycle. Does she like her new bicycle? So on and so forth and so forth. Right. Then that targets the possessive pronoun. If you want to give it more practice, you've always got things like throwing in the past tense. I liked my new bicycle until it was stolen, or something like that, right? Go back here. Then you've got that. Then the rest of it is just vocabulary. Describe and symptoms. Vocabulary is easy, right? Especially for me, because I teach in Japanese. This sum of might be a little more difficult. I don't normally teach that, so I don't have a ready arsenal in my head to teach that, but I could probably sit down and think of a few things, right? What do you think, Rick?
Yeah, no. I mean, and then I posted in the chat my description, which basically hit all of the points you were making. It basically covered, and then, like I said, I have this breakdown for every key expression throughout all the units. So that the teacher, to provide the teacher so that because what I want to do is, I'm going to explain in the teacher's book, that one way was Jose Cruz's VC practice, using this, and then this is a breakdown, and then you could bring, and then what you often find with students is, as you kind of get into the meat of the grammar, you can kind of get a feel for when their eyes start glazing over, and then move on to the next task. And then, and the next task really is introducing the dialogue, because each unit has 2 dialogues, move to the dialogues, and then they're practicing the dialogues. In the dialogues are these key expressions. So it kind of brings it into the dialogue, then they see it in context. And then I can throw them into the online practice. So then they're practicing on their own, they're speaking, they're having to speak, they're having to do this on that. And then they go home, and then they're doing the online exercises where they're getting prompted, and they have to deal with a chat bot, and they have to practice this to get the credit for the week. So, because they have to complete X amount of tasks in order to get credit for the week. As this is all part of the textbook curriculum. So
I don't think it's hard for any teacher the very first time I show this to them to go, oh, okay, yeah, I sort of do that already. Most teachers will already sort of do that already. One of the hardest things is to actually translate it into verbal classrooms with dynamic seating, where the onus on you is for, like you just said, Rick, one really good thing you just said is like watching for when their eyes glaze over. I like that expression, because I watch for that too, and I never let it get to that point. I look for a point where I'm thinking, is about 85% of them, are they good with this expression, and are they still having fun at a dynamic point? Stop it there where they're still having fun. Don't stretch it to the point where they're starting to get bored, because they're going to start psychologically thinking, oh, we're going to practice this until we get bored. They should have in their minds, we're going to practice this only to a certain point. I better press myself to get it, but it'll always be fun. It'll end when it's fun. Then we get a new thing. And that's a good way to sort of protect your classroom environment.
Yeah. No, I feel, I don't wait to see their eyes glaze over, but you do. I mean, this is a class of 50. So, you kind of see definitely, a couple, 2, 3, and then it's okay, all right, time to move on to the next task. And then also there are, because in the textbook originally, the textbook was just created. In the textbook, there were a lot of, practice exercises as well. So now we have other things for them to practice. Although my feeling, at least for the students that I'm teaching, is that once you start having exercises or other tasks in the textbook, it's too much. I 50 students for an hour and a half once a week. I don't have time for that. Really, what do I have time for? And I feel the VC, getting them, get the English in their mouths, get them practice at speed, get them to go back and forth, get them to conjugate a little bit, give them a little bit of grammar on what's happening in the sentences. The rest they can kind of look up on their own, and then, and then move on.
Go ahead.
Yeah, no, that's it.
I just looked at some of the examples that Chiyuki provided from ChatGPT. Thank you very much. I would look at those and think, though, almost each and every one of those are singular targets for the entire class. Because you look at some of those, example number 5. Do you have some of that information about upcoming events? So some of is in there, and do you have is fine. That's probably something that's a target that they probably could have been able to handle by the second week or so. But some of that information, so there's that that information. What is that? Anyway, I don't know I'm not a grammarian. I don't know all the grammatical terms, but that information, sono joho, has to be explained. Information is a vocabulary word that can be put into the vocabulary word before. About, so about itself, some of these kids will be fuzzy on about. Upcoming events, again, vocabulary words, but it gets to the point. That's a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. That's a 10-word sentence. And I think for the more lower level students that Brick and I have to teach, a 10-word sentence is actually a final semester target. Being able to say a 10-word sentence in one swell foop, even if it is, basically diagrammed out on the board, being able to say, do you have some of that information about upcoming events into a student's eyes, and then following it up with, yes, you have some information about that upcoming event. Does he have some information about the upcoming event? It's hard even for me to do it right now. To target some is to try to isolate it entirely. So I would just go with, do you have some sugar? Can I borrow some sugar? Would you like some milk? Would you like some milk with your coffee? Would you like some cream with your coffee? So just very simple variations without stretching it out too far. Would you like some help? Do you have some money? Really short variations. So they start understanding that some is an indicator of an non yeah, I'm not a grammarian, so you all know I'm just can't see it. I don't know what's going on in the chat messages, but yeah, keep the sentences that you're getting them to do, make it focus on that single variable that you want, because at that point you've got some of that information about upcoming events. Unless you've hit all of those targets, there are going to be all kinds of variables flying around in their heads.
Well, yeah, but then go ahead.
Okay, Elizabeth.
Okay, can I share my screen?
Sure.
Okay, because I'm listening and I'm gleaning, and I think I have a solution to my question. See if I can manage this without crashing the computer. So I made a Google Slides presentation for my English club, and the purpose of this, I'm learning how to use Zoom again. Where does share screen? Oh, there it is. Okay. Okay, here we go. Okay, can you see that?
Almost. There it is.
Okay, so you can see I animated the underlines to help me because I stumble. The expression is, I get it. It's one of the rejoinders that we teach our senior high school first year students for scaffolded conversation. And what I find is the kids can only produce, I get it. They can't do the substitution drill with the pronouns and conjugations. They don't do it. They got, I get it, locked into their heads. So what I'd like to do with my English club is mostly the first year students and second years that receive conversation practice. They'll do, I get it, do you get it? And then slowly I will do past tense. I got it.
Did you get it?
I got it.
I need the little lines to help me. And then go further, like I got the answer to number 5. I got a great score on my test.
Mm-hmm.
So they're filled out because my kids have weak control of function words. They drop out. And they also mess up the conjugation, yeah. Pretty typical of like B1 learners, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so thank you. Building out from shorter expressions to longer, I'm gonna give that a shot.
Yeah. That's the target.
Yeah, and then
But
I don't know. Do you think this is a cool idea or not?
It's a very cool idea.
Oh, okay. And
but then again, you're showing the text.
Yeah.
Yep.
At the first part, there's nothing wrong with showing it. Like literally what I'll
Oh.
do. Sorry, Elizabeth, I'm gonna knock out your share
yeah,
here.
yeah, no problem.
So new share.
And I will.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
camera.
I would, let's see here. Hang on a second. So I would basically very quickly have, let's say, something like, sorry. Oh no, this is the wrong one. This is my writing class. There. So I would have this on the board, right? And because it's a projector, there's a very quick way to switch the input source from HDMI to DVD player. So, immediately I say, okay, so now we're gonna do that without a projector. And showing them the information is not a problem. The target is that they can do it without that projector. They can do it in each other's eyes only. And you encourage them to help each other. So a kid's going, I am a student, engineering. I am an engineering student. And that is okay. There's nothing wrong with that.
I'm just wondering if there's still using, for example, ChatGPT to produce that. I mean, you added the lines in where that in, but I'm wondering if there's still a way to get ChatGPT to produce, for example, what Elizabeth had.
So what did I have?
What you just showed, Elizabeth.
What you just showed us.
Simply you know what I did? I just wrote everything by hand into the.
Yeah, well,
Yeah.
exactly. So that's what I'm saying is that wouldn't there be a way that instead of having to write it by hand, that you could say, okay, ChatGPT, please convert,
Oh,
use,
Well,
focusing
I
on
don't-
the
I don't know if
the
anyone has
subject verb.
Yeah, I don't know if anyone, sorry to interrupt, Rick. I don't know if anyone has ChatGPT in front, but what I would do is probably write out that whole thing with simple keyboard characters like tabs, line returns, periods, and then take something like, I do karate. Do you do karate? And to write it out as a set of paragraphs, basically like the way that you did here in the document you provided, Brick. Write that out and say to ChatGPT, using the model of above, replace the word karaoke with ikebana. And then it'll spit out, I do ikebana. Do you do ikebana? Then you could have a whole bunch of these already somewhere that you can just cut and paste to ChatGPT and say, using the model above, replace milk with sugar.
Smart.
I have some cream. Do you have some cream? Then it becomes, I have some sugar. Do you have some sugar? So by using the idea of asking ChatGPT to just replace certain words, you might be able to say, I am an engineering student. ChatGPT, please replace the word engineering with chemistry. So then you would have that.
Well, no, but it's not. That's not the structure. I mean, if you go back to what Elizabeth had, Elizabeth, can you bring that out? Is there any way you can copy and paste that into the chat?
what I can do is
Or it's an image?
what I can do is share a Google Slides presentation with you. I'm happy to do that.
Uh-huh.
Now,
Well,
if-
I was looking for the structure.
The structure. How do you mean the
Oh,
structure?
I mean, well, I mean, it had,
And the structure, Elizabeth,
yeah,
and I opened the chat GPT, so could you show us that Google Classroom? No, Google document, and I can copy and paste and then give it a try.
one moment. I believe I can share from my institution to the world. One moment, and I will get you the link.
The structure was simple. It was the basic conjugation. I have I get it, you get it, you get it, does
yeah,
he get
yeah,
it, he gets it.
yeah, yeah.
Or sorry, may I check? Would you prefer just a simple screenshot?
No,
Something that could be actual cut and paste would
Okay,
be
one
best.
moment. I'll share the Google Slides with you. One moment.
or maybe Jose can write it on the chat,
I
and then
probably can. Yeah, I was about to say maybe
I
I
can
can just type it in.
actually copy and paste that on the chat GPT, and then
Was
let's
there?
see.
Yeah, if it's possible just to.
Oh,
Like if
Uh-huh.
it automatically use
Hmm.
that based on the idea, right, Brick?
Yeah.
Yeah,
That would be
that's what I'm
really-
looking for.
Yeah, right,
I mean, it'd be great. Then you could just put, you know,
right.
basically put a
Yeah.
sentence in and say,
Yeah,
convert this
within
into
10
VC,
seconds or
basically.
something. Right, yeah.
Not even that. I mean,
Try
it's
these. Try just
millisecond.
these. Try just those 4 sentences, Chiyuki.
Right.
And if those 4 work, then they work. However, I'll tell you this: if you just take those 4 and you put it into a find and replace in any word processor will do what you're asking Chat GPT to do, and it would be less work.
I get it. Do you get it? You get it. Does he get it? He gets it. Does
Yeah.
she get it?
It'll continue.
She
If Chat
gets it.
GPT can handle those
Mm.
4 sentences, it can handle the entire array.
Well, so what is it? So, okay. So I get it. Do you get it? So how would you, what prompt would you say to continue this?
I would use the prompt using the model above. Please
Yeah.
recreate the model while replacing the word it with the word the lecture. The words the lecture. So then it'll be I get the lecture. Do you get the lecture? You get the lecture. Does he get the lecture? But again,
Well, but-
that's something you could do in a word processor's find and replace function.
No, you're still only you're still only working with, for example, those 4 sentences. What we want ChatGPT to do is to make the whole, is to create the whole
Yeah, okay. So let's say you gave it,
structure.
if you gave it the entire array. Okay, here, let me take this. I'm actually using a copy of the document that you wrote up, Brick.
Okay.
He gets it. Does she get it? Okay. And then, oops. Then you could actually just take this and just copy paste this. So then it would be she,
Okay.
it, we, and then a couple more.
Yeah, but probably the chat GPT, if they can do it, everything.
Yeah,
could, but
exactly.
let me
Exactly.
show-
That's what I'm
let me-
saying.
Let me show you, but let me show you what I'm thinking. I mean, we get it, do they get it?
I tried, but you need a little bit better.
Okay, so you guys all know that I don't know if you can see this, probably not, but there's a find and replace function in every word processor. If I would put in, let's see here. Let me do a new share and show you my whole desktop. This is going to look really small on some screens, but there's a find and replace function. So if I ask it to just take it and I ask it to replace it with the lecture, then boom, replace all. right? And it would replace, I would replace all of these, but that's because I'm doing it in Brick's document right now, but it'll replace all of these, okay? And it'll replace this one too. So you're conscientious about where you're placing it. But instead of going to ChatGPT, asking for a prompt, this is something that find and replace will do.
Mm.
But
and I understand what you're trying to do, Brick, is basically just save yourself some time for
yeah.
work. And that's great. I mean, if there is something that ChatGPT can come up with as a prompt to do that, I think it'd be wonderful. Me personally, I'm not sure I'm going to have that much use for it, because I don't, like I said at the beginning, I don't know if I want to put that in front of my students. Your students will get much more out of it because you know what it is that they have to prepare for. But in that case, yeah, if ChatGPT can do that for you, in the case of like making it like a beautiful diagram, like Elizabeth's diagram, then again, put that into a slideshow software like Keynote or Google Slides or PowerPoint has a find and replace function. Just take that slide, create a new slide, do the find and replace function, bam, it'll replace it with him. I get him. Do you get him? There you go. Yeah, I will be you. Yeah. So what?
Well, yeah, and then go to, hold on a second. And then building to, then you go to this.
Yeah, so you would tell ChatGPT, please insert yes in front of, oh no, you already have yes in the following ones. It's the first one that doesn't have it. Okay,
then,
so tell it.
And then you get to,
okay, so hang on, before you go to the next one, I would just say to ChatGPT, please insert the phrase, be your nurse, after the word will in each affirmative statement, because some of those are questions and ChatGPT should be able to tell the difference between statements and questions. Personally, you know, man, because I find that ChatGPT can be really like fuzzy sometimes, and sometimes it changes its answer from session to session. When I was asking it to make some multiple choice questions and I gave it specific instructions for, please make the correct answer D every time, it would actually start, it would get it correct the first time, and then it would start drifting. And actually, this is a well-known phenomenon that it's actually giving you wrong answers, more wrong answers as it starts to do the prompt more and more. And I would just be careful about it. I think it's a little bit more controllable if you just use it as a find and replace, and the amount of efforts you might be trying to put into ChatGPT might not work out in the long run. Elizabeth?
Yeah. Oh, just one note to self. If you use find and replace in Google Docs or Google Slides, specify next. Otherwise, it will change all of the variables. Yeah. Okay.
Sure.
And I'll use that too.
And all of those things are different from software to software too. From Keynote to PowerPoint to Google Slides, you have to get to know your find and replace function well.
Well, so I mean, what I'm kind of trying to say is that, so let's take the I will pattern. I will you? Yes, I will he? Yes, he will she? This, I put this in the it's in the chat. So if I'm gonna go and open ChatGPT, okay.
Well, tell you what, Brick, while you're working with ChatGPT, playing with a couple of prompts back there in the background, I'll ask anybody else. Does anyone else want me to say, maybe break down a sentence for them? Or have any questions about what it is that I was just presenting there? Well, you know, Brick is working on ChatGPT back there. No. Okay. So let's hang on to Brick's, hang on for Brick's results here.
Enter your one time. I'm having to log in again. Hold on a sec.
That's why I find Bard so useful. You know, Bard doesn't ask you to log in so often because you're already logged into Google. Elizabeth, did you want to say something?
Thank you so much, because it really got me thinking how to extend the use of that interjection. I got it, and I'll do that with my ESS students. And then once I pilot it with ESS, providing of course that they attend, then I will attempt it with the senior high school first years and see how they cope. Now I'll get back to you or post something on.
There we go.
I would love that. If you could post it actually in my Goldfish page, that's where specifically the people who are kind of fans of this
Yeah.
will see it more specifically.
Okay. And yeah, I'll follow up on that. Might take me a couple of months, right?
Okay.
Yeah.
I must go because I got appointments today.
Okay.
And
Okay.
thank you, Brick, for sharing your stuff with us.
Oh, thank you for joining.
Yeah, that was really interesting. I got a lot of insight from that. And
I might be doing more of these, so keep an eye out for them.
oh yes, please. Okay, and Ms. Yanase, nice to meet you.
Thank you. Nice to meet you, Elizabeth.
And thanks for the
Yep,
reminder.
nice to meet you.
Oh, and thank you for letting me put that on Alto.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, and anytime. Okay, so you're pre-approved to post anytime, and everybody else is welcome also.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thanks, Elizabeth.
Take care. Thank
Bye.
you.
So what'd you get, Brick?
So, well,
I-
no. So what I'm saying is that
Oh, that's
so
cheap.
using I will, the I will pattern. I will, will you,
No, you
using
will. So go on. I know what you mean. Yeah.
I will you, yes, I will he, yes, he will she, yes, she will we, yes, we will they, yes, they will I, yes,
Mhm.
I will.
Mm-hmm,
Okay.
mm-hmm.
So let's say we're gonna, so use the following pattern.
With the following
What-
pattern.
Yeah, okay. With the following pattern,
Okay. you
I
have
want to
this-
make, I want to do it for what's one of the other sentences? Do I?
I would, I would treat ChatGPT like a student, and I would take
Mhm.
out any unnecessary variables, because literally a word like yes, that is actually easier done and more reliably done with a find and replace function.
But
And
let's not, that we're trying to do this with ChatGPT though. So
Okay.
let's see if it can produce it. So
Yeah.
with the following pattern, rewrite with the following pattern.
I would
Okay.
I would phrase it this way.
Okay.
Using the model below as a
Okay.
pattern, using the model below as a pattern, replace every occurrence of word X with word Y.
But see, you're just trying to have it do the replace again.
What? I'm
Where
not sure what you want to do.
you trying to use its brain a little bit. I want it to, so I want it to use the same pattern, but I want it to do it with the sentence, a totally different sentence.
Right.
I can, or
Ooh,
or-
you're gonna have to spend some time working on that prompt, because I can't even imagine a prompt like that right now.
yeah. Well, let me see. Using the model below as a pattern, recreate with.
Give it a grammatical name. Ask it like, let's say you give it
Different verb or something.
yeah, that's right. Yeah. Please replace the occurrence of the verb with its past tense, or something like that. And then it'll have to replace I get with got. But honestly, man, honestly, I think the time that you're spending trying to get ChatGPT to do it, I'd rather do it by hand.
Yeah, but the thing is, you just got to do it once and then you're done, and then it'll do it
If it's
you know,
successful. But yeah,
with the model below as a pattern. Recreate with, what do we, with so I will with I do.
Yeah,
I don't
Yeah,
I don't know what you
With-
have in mind.
I think I do
I-
understand.
Yeah.
Rick is trying to find the one pattern that can be used for multiple purposes.
Yeah, I know. I'm pretty sure
Yeah.
I understand that too. It's just that I think it's ambitious.
Okay,
Very.
here we go.
It's
All
very
right,
ambitious,
let's
especially
see what
with
it's gonna do.
ChatGPT being.
Okay, here we go.
Yeah, can you
Right.
share?
I just, okay,
Brick,
this is
Brick,
where,
Brick.
just,
Brick, why
yeah.
don't you share your screen so we can see what you're looking at?
Okay, so this, I think I got it.
Ah.
Wow,
Okay.
wow.
Can
Okay,
you
here,
share
I'm
your
gonna,
screen? Can you
I
share?
will.
Yeah,
I'm
thank you.
gonna share my screen. Look at this.
Hmm.
Boom.
Using the model bureau as a pattern. Recreate with I do. Yes, I will. Mm-hmm.
Okay, great. I do you. Yes, I do. Does he? Yes, he does. Does
Yes,
she?
I
Yes, she
can.
does. Do we? Yes, we do. Do they? Yes, they do. Do I? Yes, I do. Good. Great.
You know.
Hmm.
So let's see if it can do it. Let's see if we can up the game. Copy.
Recreate. I do.
I
I will.
With, so instead of I do, let's make it, what was the longer one? I will, well, let's say I will be your nurse.
Nurse.
I will be your nurse this morning.
That right after that last exclamation mark, Brick.
Yeah.
Yeah, right there. Is
Yeah,
that?
yeah. No, that's just because it didn't space right.
Oh, hey, do a shift
Recording.
return, Brick. Shift return.
Shift return. Oh, right.
That's-
Oh,
that's a
that's
soft
so
line
it
break.
doesn't jump in. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. So here we go. So using the model below as a pattern, recreate with I will be your nurse. Here we go. Boom.
Oh, hello, CA. Will you be? Yes, I will. See, this is where it gets.
Yeah.
fuzzy, and
See, it didn't.
You spend so
it should
much
have been,
time.
I will be your nurse this morning. Will you be my nurse this morning? Is what I wanted it to do.
Yeah.
Right.
The possessive pronoun. See? Now,
Right.
When you do the
include,
possessive-
okay. Include the possessive.
Got a typo.
Yeah. Possessive.
No.
Processive.
Yeah. So
The possessive pronoun phrase. Would it be pronoun? Possessive
pronoun. Include the possessive. Replace the possessive pronouns as well.
include. Okay. Here, let's.
You got a typo on.
Yeah, I see that. Oops. Okay, pronoun. Okay, how about this? Ooh, look at that.
No. Will he be your nurse? Do you want this morning?
Okay. Include this and this. Include this morning. Include this morning. I need to do it in quotes.
Here you go.
There you go.
There you go.
Okay.
That's, so that's really that there.
Okay.
You need to include all that keywords.
Well, yeah, we just have to include this, because it just,
include that. Yeah, quite long prompts, but I guess that's what
it doesn't matter. Doesn't matter.
Hmm.
So here, I'd need to just select it all and then put it into a Word file and then edit it.
Yeah.
again.
and then put it all in, make it all into one prompt.
Mhm.
Include. So I will be your nurse. So using this, so what did it do? I will be your nurse. Will you be? Yes, I will. So where did it get that? So include the possessive pronoun.
And include this.
Okay. All right, and then this is all actually in that descriptor that I showed you guys. Explained. So I'm wondering if that would be the way to go.
Well, if, you know,
Okay.
if you're specifically looking for this stuff to put into a textbook, yeah,
Hmm.
why not?
Well, this is all, I mean, what I'm doing is that I'm looking for this to put for, this is for the teacher's book, so that the teacher can use this if they need to, if they want to expand on what they're going to teach in the class.
Yeah.
That's what I'm looking for. And that I could even, you know, as part of this book, and, you know, here is a, you know, here is a ChatGPT prompt that you can also use to help you, you know, instead of having to write it aloud. Because I did that whole write out, you know, provided that whole write out thing, but you know, if a teacher is so grammatically inclined that they want to deal with it.
I would be careful though, Brick. I don't mean to rain on your parade or anything, just as a warning. That whole idea about ChatGPT drift is real. And if you print that, if you put that into a textbook, that here's the prompt, and then it turns out like a couple of weeks later, ChatGPT stops responding accurately to that prompt, that will be a line in your teacher's manual that might not be as useful as it could have been.
Well, I would have a disclaimer, of
Okay.
course, you know, as you know, when using ChatGPT, that there is some element of drift, and you know, you need to be aware as you start producing, if you use ChatGPT to model this practice. There you go. And we're recording this. You'll share this with me, right?
There you go. Yeah, no problem. Well, not
But
only
yeah,
that.
no, looking at it, I mean, that's exactly, you know, boom, that's it. You know, and it went, you know, yes, I will. Yeah. That's the pattern right there. Yep.
That's great.
Yeah. Okay, cool. I mean, this was ChatGPT 4. I wonder
Oh,
if it does it.
this is
great.
4?
Yeah.
Maybe I get more drift with 3.5. Yeah, I haven't.
I think you do. You do. It is a bit because I was doing some other work, and I was trying to make patterns and having the drift, and I thought, okay, well, if I pay for it, will it make a difference? And it seemed to. Although
okay, I got ChatGPT 3.5.
okay. And
What kind of results were you getting, Chi?
can you cut and paste this? Can you here we go.
Yeah, cut and paste is a button on the interface.
Well, no, let me just see. Let me see if we can get
Rick, the interface has a copy button. Do you see it right there? Yeah, right there. Yeah. The copy button, that's the clipboard looking button on the right hand side. Right next to the thumb up and thumb down.
No. That's not my question. No, I was so no, I was gonna put it into, because you guys are just viewing a screen, so you can't cut and paste what I'm doing.
I see.
So so I was gonna cut and paste it so then I can give it to, so then Yuki can try it. So I just copied that. Why did I lose my
CA, how are you? Did you want to ask anything specific today?
I'm fine, thanks.
Okay. There was one point, I don't know if you were here. There was one point in the previous part of this session where I showed my general sort of mindset I look at when I'm trying to break down sentences from an article or from a textbook to try to make it something that students can handle from the very beginning all the way to the end of the target sentence. I'll take that little clip and I'll publish it up on my goldfish.
Yeah. So put that in, see if you can get the same thing.
Yeah.
Because this, I mean, after this last one, you know, understood, that last one is exactly it.
Okay. Ooh.
You can just select that whole thing and Did it do it?
I think, yeah, it did it.
Same thing?
Slightly different, but yeah.
Really?
It's exactly the same, I think.
No?
Yeah.
All right,
I
yeah, 3, because a lot of times 3.5 is faster than 4 sometimes, I have found.
Hmm.
As long as if your thing isn't too complicated,
Right.
it's faster, but sometimes just the whole drift thing, I found the same thing. Because I was trying to do something on 3.5 and it was just drifting. I was like, why? You know, I'm using the exact same prompt. Why are you giving me different answers? And then I thought, oh, okay, I wonder if, well, okay, I'll pay for 4 and see what happens. And
Right.
it did. And I was getting school to pay for it, but I was running out of money. So I figured September, you know, August, September, I won't be using it. So I turned it off for a couple of months so that I would have enough money.
Yeah, only difference is the numbering and then little slash in
In numbers.
yeah, in numbers automatically.
Yeah,
Okay.
that was
See, I
another
didn't
thing
want
that
numbers. Yeah.
yeah, sometimes you don't want numbers. That was another thing that
Yeah.
was trying to get ChatGPT to stop doing, and then I told it to stop doing it. It actually did it worse. Was there anything else that you wanted to look at, Rick, this morning?
No, I think no. This was I was hoping to work with you, and which we seem to have done, and work on what do we need to, what are the points that need to be included in order to get ChatGPT to do it, and then doing this with you did it. you know, well, include the possessive pronoun, include, the breakdown. You just have to include the grammatical point of it, which I already have broken down in that description that I sent you for each thing. So it does it right there. That's great.
I'm going to be
Yes.
really interested in hearing about your results because this is a different way that I do it. And but the way I do it was all built on instinct. I've not actually done any science on whether or not the way I do it is actually good or not. I know that it seems to bring back results, but this will be interesting to hear how it goes.
Yeah, no. And then I heard you about, not giving them a paper, not putting it. This is really just giving them the initial training. I mean, this is like unit 1 stuff. And then unit 2, it won't be. The sentence will be up and then, go. You guys know what to do it with this. But the initial teaching and then also the describing it in the teacher's book. This is what I wanted, to be able to them to be able to produce or to see how to build this so that they can then do it if they want to include it,
Right.
they can. So
May I ask Jose to include in your textbook? Like you've done really well. This is not ChatGPT. Like assume that nobody has the ChatGPT, for example, and what you can include, or I hope you include, is that long sentences, and then what exactly you've done that today, like how you would actually teach in the BC. That would be a really good, like much longer sentences, and because we can get it like really short, the sentences is easy enough, but the sentences like which one would you start using, and then making a little bit of a lesson plan or something. The first week or second week, like one whole example would be a really good help for teachers to come up with.
Trying to find, here it is. Let me see if I can show you this. Oh, that's not the one. Oh my gosh, I can never find stuff when I actually want to show it to
But
people.
anyway, you can include that in
Yeah.
your
The thing is, though, that I know that I haven't spoken about it directly too much yet, but if I'm going to write anything, I won't be writing a textbook, I don't think, because at least the way that I like to do VC, I actually disavow textbooks.
No, I mean like a teacher resource book.
Okay. So if I was going to write anything, it would be either a book about VC, which, / teacher's manual, not necessarily a textbook, but that's what I would. And if I can just find, I have a picture of the longest sentence I've ever used successfully in a VC classroom. Notwithstanding that, let me show you just a typical sort of longer sentence. So this was a lesson on because and so, and trying to teach them. They already know the meaning of all of these words, and that's something that you can probably assume. Something like, what was that? Will you be my nurse this morning? Will you be his nurse this morning? Your students probably just on 30 seconds of reflection will understand every single word. It's getting their out of their faces. And one of the things that's hard for them is being able to do it on the fly with a sentence that has multiple or more than one independent or subclause. So when you've got I like ramen and it's delicious, those are two separate clauses. And if you think about that, even as a Japanese second language speaker, being able to just belt that out is actually not that easy. And then asking the question, why do you like ramen? That would be the question that I think I would put next to that question. Will you be my nurse this morning? I would say, okay, now let's practice who. I will be your nurse this morning. Who will be my nurse this morning? He will be your nurse this morning. Who will be your nurse this morning? She will be your nurse this morning. So keep the question, but now we're practicing the question word who, and the answer is constantly changing, going down the pronoun list. So in this case, it's why do you like ramen? The variable will be why does he like ramen? Why does she like ramen? And then it goes on to I like ramen because it's delicious. And if you wanted to make that even harder, it would be I like ramen because I think it's delicious. Then there were two positions of conjugation between I like and I think. He likes and he thinks. And the trick for them is not so much the meaning of the sentence, it's maintaining fluency while you're maintaining the ability to recreate all of the sub-variables. Right? And then in this case, you go from your instinct to start with do or does. Now your instinct has to switch with actually putting the word why in the front of things. And you'll see their brains are tumbling all over themselves, trying to remember to put why at the very front, or who, or what, or when, right?
Yeah. No, this, yes.
And then because it was a lesson on because and so, I showed that, okay, if you're going to use so, you would put, I think it's delicious. So I like ramen. So you put the reason clause with the action clause and show them, oh, so that's the relationship between because and so. They do it numerous times, right? And then eventually, but that's, everyone knows that that's the benefit of VC.
Yeah, well, just getting it out of their face. You know, I mean, that's and that's what these students need, because they've never had it pulled out of their face. I mean, it's never come out of their face before. And so that's why I felt, I mean, just working with the students and seeing what they're doing and everything. I mean, so much katakana English, you know, and just like, no, that doesn't work. That's not English.
I want to ask Chi a question. Chi, have you done any of this stuff with your more advanced students?
Yeah.
How was it?
That's a simple pattern. I just show the patterns on the projector one or two times, and then they get it. And then I close everything, and then they can do it without stuff, because they are quite advanced.
So what was the longest sentence you ever tried with a more advanced class? Do you remember something like that?
Probably the last one you were talking about, like because I like ramen because blah, blah, yeah, things
and
like that.
They were able to like pick that up almost immediately, or it took them a while to get.
Kind of, well, yeah, their level is quite high.
Then I would just stretch that out, and I would say, okay, we'll try this one. I don't think that's a fact, because it sounds like an opinion. Just stretch it out.
And also the question part, I would ask them to change the question. I would ask one of the students, like, how would you modify the question?
Oh yeah, get them into
they're gonna give me my their original sentences, then I could use that. So that was kind of fun, because I can ask that even I like what else, and then because what else, then the student will give me the answer, actually, the pattern.
I do something like that very similarly. It helps sort of keep the students engaged. Very simple example of it is if we're doing something like, I am from Kitakyushu. Kitakyushu is the city near me here. I am from Kitakyushu. Are you from Kitakyushu? And these kids are getting to know each other. And then as the dynamic seating brings another student up to the front for me to do a demonstration with, I ask him, where are you from? And he says, oh, I'm from Hiroshima. Okay, let's try that, everyone. I'm from Hiroshima. Are you from? And it gets the kid go, oh, shit, everyone's going to be talking like, I'm from Hiroshima. And in a case like yours, Chiyuki, I could easily think like if you were talking about, let's say, Ghibli movies. Okay. My favorite Ghibli movie is My Neighbor Totoro because, and then say, okay, everybody think about My Neighbor Totoro. Oh, did you know that that's the English name for Tonari no Totoro? Well, it is My Neighbor Totoro. Think of a couple of reasons why you like My Neighbor Totoro and give the first one. I forget the name of the characters, but because the little girls are cute. My favorite Ghibli movie is My Neighbor Totoro because the little girls are cute. Is your favorite Ghibli movie My Neighbor Totoro because the little girls are cute? And it's like a 20-word sentence. And then you ask the next student, why do you think My Neighbor Totoro is cute? Because the animation is beautiful. And then, okay, everyone. So just bring the level up for them and get them involved by letting them say what they want to add to that. You know?
Yeah, I started asking like, what did you do last week? And then one student answered, that would be the practice for the VC.
Excellent, sure.
Well,
Brick?
I could see through, I mean, I teach a discussion course where the students are really given free rein to discuss, but at the beginning of the class, I give them a list of expressions that are useful for discussion, you know, in my opinion, and those kind of things. And in the past, I've just kind of told them, you know, here are a number of expressions that are useful in discussion, and please, if you can, use these in your discussion. Okay, go. But just from what you're saying, it might be good to maybe do a little bit of VC, you know, because just the first day, first week, second week.
Absolutely.
Give them these expressions and then, you know, pick a number of them and build on them and then say, hey, and then this.
Sorry to interrupt again. I would even build it in a more structured way and tell them, okay, in this discussion class, here are some of the targets, here are some of the rejoinders, here are some of the rebuttals, here are some of the whatevers. And we're going to practice this rebuttal for the beginning. And remember that, you know, in the past few weeks, we practiced these. Now here's the topic. But first, let's practice that rebuttal. I don't agree with your point. Do you agree? I don't agree with that point. Do you agree with that point? He doesn't agree with that point. Blam, 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 blam. And then, okay, now remember the stuff that we practiced last week. Bring that into your discussion and then let them know.
Yeah, no, I definitely see that. I'll definitely do that. Yeah. All right. Well, thank you for 2 hours of your time.
No, not at all. Thank you. Chi, did you want to ask anything? CA, or I think there was also Agnes Marie. I don't know how to pronounce that. If you wanted to ask me anything, you guys have been kind of quiet through this. Okay, then forever hold your peace, or at least until the next time I do a.
Can I get a copy of this video? Can you?
You certainly can. I'll get you the whole copy because there are certain faces that are in and out of it. I'm going to try to not put up the entire presentation, but sort of an edited version of it. Oh, is that Mac? CA? Was that Mac that was called?
Yes, it's Mac.
Okay.
He
Mac,
thinks he should join.
Okay. Good morning to you, Mac. Thank you for the greeting. Hello.
Okay.
Okay, and
right.
Thank you very much. And I will put stuff up, and I'll get you the entire copy of the video. Thanks, everyone.
Yeah, please. Thank you.
Okay.
Bye-bye.
Have a good day.
Stay safe.